The Lebkuchen was developed in 13th century Germany, and it means honey cake. And that's due to the amount of honey that we put in our Lebkuchen. And we've been making these at the Bavarian Inn for years and years and years. And hopefully we'll continue to make them long into the future. First we had eggs that we put in the bowl and began to beat those. And then we added brown sugar and creamed that in until it's nice and smooth and light brown. And we're going to be adding our molasses, our honey, our spices, some caramel color, and some vinegar to that. So I'm going to do that now. And we want to scrape it up and make sure we get all of that good stuff in there. Lebkuchen is typically a very sticky dough due to all the molasses and the honey in it. So we're going to show you what we do to make this easier to process. So that again was the molasses and the honey and the caramel color. And then we're going to add our vinegar. And you'll see that this changes things as it's mixing. It develops that deep, dark, rich color. And now we're going to add hot water and baking soda. That changed the color, and I love that color. That is just a really rich, wonderful color. And then we're going to start putting in the flour and the salt and the spices. There are a lot of ingredients in Lebkuchen. Now once the flour's in there, I do not want to mix it too long. We want to mix it as little as possible to just incorporate those ingredients. Over mixing the cookie dough will cause it to be tough once the flour is put in. And then we're just going to add our ground pecans and our candied fruit. And again, we're just going to blend that in as briefly as possible. And then we'll turn it up and just mix it just shortly. And that's good. So we're going to start rolling out the Lebkuchen dough. And one of the things that you'll know is that, like the Springerle, we work on a linen. And that's to keep the dough from sticking to the surface and making it a little more readily moved and cut. And I'm going to work this powdered sugar in. Again, we're using powdered sugar rather than flour because we don't want to add flour to the recipe and make our dough firmer. We just want to give it a nice surface so that it doesn't stick. And I'm really working the powdered sugar into the fibers so that it's deep down in there. And then we sprinkle a little bit loose on the top. And then I'm going to coat my hands with the powdered sugar as well because this Lebkuchen is sticky stuff. And we kept it covered with a bag just to keep it moist. And you can see that's what we mixed on the mixer. And I'm just going to work some of this out. onto my powdered sugar. And then we work rapidly. And we're just going to lightly knead it. You don't want to press too hard because, like I said, we don't want to stick it to the table. We just want the surface to be nice and smooth. And then we've got the top fairly smooth. We put that down, put some powdered sugar on top of it, and this is very sticky dough, so we're going to go a little more liberally than what we do on the Springer leaf. And then we very carefully roll it back and forth. We've got a couple of boards here that will measure how thick we want our dough. And we'll know to stop when we get down to that thickness. And there we go. And now we're going to get ready to cut it. Now for years and years and years and years, we used to use boards to cut our Lebkuchen. We had a board that we would use for the length of the Lebkuchen, and we'd measure it and do our dough this way. And then we had another one that would be for the length. And as you can see, this is quite time-consuming, and you have to cut apart each one of those little cookies and put it on the pan. And that is how we've done Lebkuchen for years and years and years. And then I found this. And this is an antique cookie cutter that I have found at an antique store almost 30 years after I've been doing Lebkuchen this way. And this is like the perfect size that I needed for my Lebkuchen. And it just went so much faster. And you know, it makes me happy to think that, you know, some little baker had this at home for years and years and years, and maybe when she died, it went to an antique store, and now we found it, and now we're using it for our Lebkuchen, and I think that would make her happy. And of course, we'll have pans full of these cookies, but what we do once we've got them all cut out is we take a brush and we lightly brush off the excess powdered sugar. And then we've got a mixture of egg yolks and milk, and we lightly brush that on. And then we pick a whole almond slice and we put right in the center of each cookie. In Germany, some Lebkuchen is round, and some of it is quite large. You know, they may be like 4.5, 5 inches in diameter. They even mold some in the shape of a large heart that they make out of a firmer Lebkuchen dough, and they color it with colored icing, and they even will pierce a hole in it and thread a ribbon through and wear them around their neck for festivals and things like that. So you'll see those sold during Oktoberfest and at the different festivals in Germany, especially in Nuremberg, where the Lebkuchen is really an icon of that city. But for the United States and for the Bavarian Inn, we make smaller cookies that are just a couple of wonderful bites. And this is how the Bavarian Inn's Lebkuchen has looked for years and years and years. Well, we've been talking a lot about all of the German Christmas cookies that we've got for our guests, but we don't want you to forget your furry friends. And we've made a Christmas cookie just for the dogs. And it's kind of a takeoff on our German Pfeffernuss, and we call these Puppernuss. And they're also a molasses cookie, and they're shaped like little gingerbread boys. So you can pick these up for your dog when you're making your way through the bakery, and make sure that they're remembered as well on Christmas.